Hello, welcome to In-and-Out of OutSystems, where I show you something cool and useful in OutSystems in 5 minutes. I'm Brian from NetLink Digital Solutions. Let's go. In this video, I will show you how to manage the IT users in OutSystems using LifeTime. We'll talk about roles in OutSystems and the level of permission we can give each role, and then I will guide you through how to create a new role and a new user, then assign that newly created role to our new user. Before we get started creating a role, let's take a minute to understand the permission model in OutSystems. In OutSystems, the policies that grant or revoke permission to IT users are managed using a role-based permission model. This means that permissions to perform operations are configured in roles, then assigned to users. These permissions are in 3 sections when we're creating a role. We have permission levels for an environment, specific permissions below that, then at the bottom, we have our infrastructure-wide permissions. OutSystems has 2 built-in roles that allow infrastructure managers to implement a simple security policy. There is Developer, which by default allows deploying to the development environment, opening and quality assurance, and listing applications in production. Then there is the Administrator role, which by default has full control over all environments. Now, we need to create a new role with some custom permissions. We can start in the User Management tab of our LifeTime portal. From there, we click the Roles sub-tab. Once we're in the Roles sub-tab, we can click New Role. Now that we're at the New Role screen, the first thing we can do is give this role a name. I need to create a tester role, so I'm just going to name this role Tester. Below that, we can take the slider for each environment and change the permission levels based on its position. Each of the permission levels is cumulative of the levels below it. All of these permissions have different access privileges for the platform, and we can assign different ones in each environment. Going over the permissions, at the top we have full control, which gives users access to the environment settings and deployment zones, as well as all the permissions below it. Change and deploy will allow users with this role to publish, tag, and configure the application in the selected environment. Open and debug applications allows users to open and debug the applications. Monitor and add dependencies allows monitoring the environment and the applications, as well as adding dependencies to the public elements of the applications from other applications. Listing applications allows listing the applications and their versioning information. Access allows logging into the environment with no access to any of the applications. And no access denies access to the environment or the applications, depending on if this permission level is assigned in the default role for the applications. Now, for this particular role, I want the tester to be able to open and debug applications in the development environment, but only to be able to list the applications in production. So I'm going to move my sliders to the desired positions for each environment. My development will be open and debug, and my production will be list. Down below that, we have our Create Applications section. Both of these are grayed out because I don't have the change and deploy permissions from the sliders. Below that, we have Add System Dependencies, which will allow users that have this permission to add dependencies to public elements of the system module. The next section is infrastructure-wide permissions. If we need this role to be some sort of manager or team lead, we can give them access to different parts of the LifeTime portal that will allow them to manage users and roles. We also have the option to allow them to manage teams and application roles. The role we're creating doesn't need any of these extra permissions, so we'll leave them all turned off and click Save. After we click Save, we'll see a confirmation at the top of the screen, and we'll see our newly created role in the list. Now that we have our role created, we can create a user that will obtain this role. We need to click in the User Management tab, and then into the Users sub-tab, and from there we can click the New User button. We'll need to give this new user a name, and then below that, we can click the drop-down for their default role. When we click our drop-down, we should see our newly created role. Mine was named Tester. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that role. After we've clicked our role, we can then see the permissions in each environment for this particular role. We'll need to fill out the rest of the information and then click Create. Once this user has been created, we'll see the green success message up at the top, And then we'll be presented with the user profile. We can change their role in here if we need to. And then we can also do user team roles or user application roles. We will cover this in a later video. This has been a video on how to create a new role in LifeTime and a new user in LifeTime. Thank you.